And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We're getting there thanks to you. So hit subscribe, watch, comment, and share. Share with family and friends because this level of stupidity, it knows no bounds. I mean, literally, Trump keeps showing that his obsession with power has no limits. And now he's pushing to restart nuclear testing. Let me say that again. Restart nuclear testing? I mean, it's a move so reckless that it's sending shockwaves through the GOP and the world. On Mea Culpa, former RNC chair Michael Steele and I, we actually break down how Trump turned a once cautious party into one that's driven by fear and authoritarian ambition, where restraint is a foreign concept and chaos is actually the only strategy. From mushroom clouds to moral collapse, we expose how America's democracy is paying the price for Trump's ego. Play the clip. But speaking of reckless power plays, so Trump literally requested to Pete Hegseth to start, or let me rephrase that, to restart nuclear testing.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael, this isn't policy. This is fucking delusion wrapped in danger. All right? What do you make of this?
Well, look, they're all playing, yippee-yi-yay cowboy, right? They're all
playing
out there.
yippee-yi-yay cowboy with a fucking nuke.
Well, yeah, that's the point. They are immature little boys who got their hands on some pretty big ass toys. And the reality of it is, our system is set up that, yes, we have tests all the time. It's not like we're not testing our nuclear weapons. We have to test them. We have to do the kind of things to make sure that they're operational and that the systems work and that the men and women who run those systems internally know what the hell they're doing, right? We do that. But the difference was in 1993 or so, President George W. Bush negotiated an end to the kind of testing that Donald Trump wants to restart, where we're actually out there blowing up shit underground or in the water, right? And there's no need, we don't need to do that level of testing. Our weapons are sophisticated enough. Look, between Russia and the United States, 90% of all nuclear weapons rest in those two backyards, period. So they have accommodations and they have situations, but that they've worked through. But what Trump wants and what Hegseth wants is to show how big their dicks are. And when you get into that kind of a situation, you invite trouble. To your point, you would begin to invite danger, and problems into the system. There is a reason why we stopped doing it, because we didn't need to do it. Now, there is no reason to restart it, because what it does is invites the level of anxiety. It is not a deterrent, as they claim. Oh, well, we test our weapons. This is a deterrent. No, not necessarily. That's not how that works. I mean, it can be, but again, understand why President Bush said we didn't need to do this anymore. And that type of historical understanding in the context, not just of the times then in the 1990s, when we were at the end of the Cold War, but these times now when we have been in a period of relative peace. Why are we agitating? Why are we trying to, at one time through Donald Trump, cut a deal where he gets, ultimately gets his Hotel Moscow, but at the same time push back in a way where we're reliving the 1950s? And because I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. But with this team, nothing ever does. So we have to strap in a little bit. And you hope that there are people inside the Pentagon, downstream who are trying to moderate and mitigate this process. But I don't think they're going to be successful in that, because a lot of people, the moment they do, as we just witnessed this week, when you had the two lawyers out of DOJ put out the statement that, hey, there's no crime here to prosecute. They got fired. So this is the world in which we live now.
So look, as the former RNC chair, you were the RNC chair during a time, if I'm not mistaken, when Republican restraint actually meant something.
Yeah.
How did the Republican Party go from Reagan's city on a hill to Trump's, I don't know, we'll call it mushroom cloud diplomacy?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Michael. And we need to open up a very, very good bottle of scotch or bourbon.
By the way, I got one. I got one.
Really?
I was gonna save it for a very
Really
special
get
day.
into
This
that
could
one.
be it.
But I think a lot of the top line of that for me is Republicans have danced on this particular pinhead of authoritarianism and faux populism and nationalism, now colored by whiteness, since the 1930s. And it had no ounce. It had, just as it had no answer to Barack Obama, it had no answer to Franklin Roosevelt. And so when the Depression hit, coming off of the Hoover policies of the 1920s, the crash of 29, the Depression by 33, there was no answer, and so it became a grab for power, and so we've since that time danced on that pinhead. We didn't have an answer for the base of the Republican Party at that time, which was the African American voter. Right. Believe it or not, in the 1930s, the base of the Republican Party was African American voters. And they did not have an answer when the economic walls collapsed. And so that led to a series of behavior that gave us, dancing with the John Birch Society by the 1950s, Nixon's Southern strategy in the 1980s. All of these things sort of fed into this particular grab for power. Trump ultimately came in and said, "I'll help you do that." I think it's important. You know this well. You're very familiar with this quote from Trump when he was asked in the 1980s if he ever ran for president, which party would he pick? And he said the Republicans. He said, because they're dumb as hell. They'll believe anything I tell them.
Yep. And he did say that.
You fall into that trap when you become desperate. And by that time, Republicans had become desperate. They didn't have an answer for when Reagan stepped down. They didn't believe in Daddy Bush, 1,000 points of light. They didn't believe in, Bush Jr.'s, compassionate conservatism. And so here we are. They've been played a sucker. Our leadership is broke. It is woke in its own way, right? It is woke in a nationalistic conservative way. Everything they say about the libs and those of us who push back on their bullshit, they are doing. And that's because they have nothing to offer the country right now except power.
Zero. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.